Hey, what's up everybody? It's Lyds and we're back for some more Thronebreaker, and last time we may have done a puzzle that perhaps I missed some of the critical information on, and that led us to have to make some pretty significant guesses on it, and eventually we brute forced our way through it, but alas, it is done. We also, more importantly, had a very interesting decision to make when we met up with Willem a little ways back, and seems like that will probably be what determines what the final outcome will be with regard to Willem. Is he going to be imprisoned? Is he going to be killed by us, or in battle more generally? Or is there some other compromise we can make with Willem / the Nilfgaardians in which he can live, but we're not getting all the things we want when we, hopefully, take back the throne? So we, I suspect, chose the option that is very likely to lead to Willem's death, which normally I would say is something that in other games that try to present those types of branching decisions with consequences later on, that's the kind of thing that I would usually be very conscious of and very much try to avoid. Try to go as peaceful a route as possible. But this time, for whatever reason, I think it's just because it was so well written and so well built up over time that it felt like there was a very justifiable reason for taking any of those options. So, well done to Thronebreaker. I mean, the writing in 95 times out of 100 has been very, very good, and that remains the case even now here in Rivia. With that being said, the writing, that is one other thing that we learned about, was the whole propaganda printing press is somewhere, we suspect, in this general vicinity, possibly even right over here, and we may be able to shut that down. So we might head over there. We also do know of a battle over here too, but I'm assuming we can come back to that pretty much whatever. So I'm kind of intrigued about this whole printing press thing. And I feel like it may be right here, but we'll see. We're also getting, I think, extremely close to being able to afford our next upgrade, although, as we said many times before, we'd want to give ourselves a little bit of leeway there, a little bit of margin in case we do find ourselves needing to craft a unit later on. So I think this is going to be it. Let's see.
Oi, Meve!
Cried Gascon, as usual paying no heed to courtly etiquette.
Come here a minute.
Would it hurt so terribly to occasionally address me by Your Grace or Your Majesty?
Didn't want to be petty, but since you bring it up, you've never once addressed me as the Duke of Dogs.
Meve sighed, rolling.
Is it really an official title? He's not actually a duke. Like, oh, we get it. People use that as a nickname, but it's not on the same level of officialness.
My lads jumped one of the Blackclads' transports. Guess what they were hauling?
Gascon handed Meve a pot filled to the brim with a thick, dark fluid.
Ink?
Paint?
Close. Printer's ink.
Exactly.
Same tone used in those phony decrees.
Meve spun on her heel, put a hand to her mouth, and yelled,
Reynard! Send scouts to comb the area!
Alright, I think we've found the place we're looking for. Music changes?
Her soldiers returned a few hours later with good news. They were able to find a Nilfgaardian printer's workshop hidden in an abandoned barn.
Okay.
It was guarded by a division of elite infantry.
Right.
Huh.
So,
Gascon thumbed the edge of his blade.
shall we stop the presses?
I mean, this is a pretty important thing for us to do. I mean, the framing suddenly makes it sound like we are merciless tyrants for stabbing these elite infantrymen in the back. And, kind of ignoring the whole part where they're distributing propaganda to make us look bad so that they can, that sounds petty, but so that the Nilfgaardians can deceive the Rivians into thinking that Nilfgaard is great and that they should not trust the very queen who's trying to save them from their oppressors. So, I mean, we have to attack, of course. Unless, of course, it turns out this is extremely difficult and maybe we'll have to double back on a later occasion, but
Time for the
we have to try.
Guardians to publish a retraction.
Spoke the queen as she drew her sword.
Signed with their own blood.
The
Ooh,
Lyrians did not need to be told twice.
Meve.
Their queen's honor, her good name, that was a cause well worth fighting for.
Impressively worded herself. Alright, let's see. What are we getting ourselves into here? Wartime Propaganda. It's a shortened battle, so just one round. One Nilfgaardian propaganda pamphlet reads as follows. Meve, a faint and timid woman. Nobody addresses Meve like that. Has not the courage nor strength to defend the country in times of war. They would soon see, however, that this claim was, on every account, false. Only one way to prove them wrong. So, no alternate rules here. It seems like we're just outscoring them unless there's gonna be specific cards starting on the board that influence the way this encounter goes down. Let's see. What is the deal? Nilfgaardian Braveheart? Don't think we've ever seen this before, have we? For every 2 units destroyed, boost self by 6 and damage all enemy units by 2. So presumably that means they're going for damage. And this guy will give them lots of value if that happens. Nilfgaardian Commandant. We've seen big immune Nilfgaardian bosses in the past. Usually they take damage whenever an ally is destroyed, this unit loses 25% of its current power. So basically it's going to be a war of damage. They destroy our cards, they get stronger or deal more damage to us. We destroy their cards, they get much weaker. Which makes me wonder. Because we've gotten to the point now where basically just about every encounter comes down to, is our opponent doing something to counter our Skellige dudes? If so, we might be in trouble. If not, then we can pretty much coast. However, the Skellige guys, at least the Disgraced Warriors specifically, gain extra power from getting killed, getting destroyed, and that would affect you. Which does make me a bit concerned, although damaging all units does give Isbel some additional potential very late on. But, okay. Okay, it's just at least something to consider. At least something to consider. Let's go get rid of you, I think. And we're probably still gonna try going the Skellige route in round 1, and we're just gonna see. Does it work? Or is that one card enough to counter our entire deck? Hopefully not. And as always, there's always that competing priority between load up on Skellige dudes or go for the Tainted Ale plus Infiltrator combo. And, we'd kind of like to say this for a later round, I think, since these guys have more carryover than you do. So, and Barnabas also is kind of questionable. Okay. Or at least not as high priority by any means. So let's do this.
It's her! Yes, you fool her! Sound the alarm! Alarm!
Oh? Gonna be more dudes. Also didn't look at what your leader ability was. Damage an enemy unit by 2. Hold on. Whenever, or what? Enemy, damage an enemy by the number of your allied units. Cooldown 3. Okay, we have seen that before. And that, I think. And that does give them a lot of damage potential. And that gives them a lot more ways to set this up. What is the deal with the timer on this, though? Is that just to signify that it only happens once you destroy 2 units? Then it only activates when you're on timer 1, not timer 2. I don't know. That's weird. Damage enemy by 2 whenever ally appears gain in charge. We've seen that a lot. Okay, so we want to destroy some stuff. Although, technically speaking, we may not do much of that in round 1. Since most of our strategy is based on setting ourselves up for a bunch of carryover in round 2 and round 3. We're just going to see if that works. So let's begin with, I think we've established Divana Runestone is the preferred way to go at the very beginning. So I may have forgotten the fine print on that. May have forgotten that we need to already have a Death Wish unit on the battlefield. So we might want to immediately, you know, we could try to see this through with that immediate handicap, but I mean, I'm pretty tempted to just say, let's give that another shot real quick. I wasn't paying close enough attention. Okay. Let's, Clean slate. Oh, look at that. It's a new encounter. How exciting. Why don't we load up on Skellige guys in round 1? That's usually what we want to prioritize above Stray's Infiltrators. I suspect that these guys will have a lot of damage, so Isabel Destroyer, especially in round 3, could be really effective. Why don't we stick with this? Technically speaking, though, we'd kind of like to have Dogger in our deck, so you know what? Let's mulligan him. Okay, Alchemist we probably don't want to play in round 1, but we might have a relatively short round 1 anyway. So maybe this is still fine.
It's her! Yes, you fool her! Sound the alarm! Larum!
Okay. Oh, they were going first last time, now we're going first, so that's actually a slight difference. What are you talking about? This is totally the first attempt. So, we'll do this first. We'll do this first. And then we'll use leader ability to swap one of you out. And we've done this many times before. We'll look to, I guess, get you, although, yeah, maybe on this specific occasion, we don't love the whole sacrificing the disgraced warriors thing so much, and might go the disgraced brawler route, because it'd get, well, but I guess it's going to be a brawler and a warrior. We don't need Dogger yet, because this guy is going to gain value if we sacrifice all of our disgraced warriors.
Was today the day? Wise choice.
So I doubt it's going to be enough with just these guys, although, then again, you destroying these guys does help us, so even if it's reducing points in the short term on our side of the board, that does still, perhaps, benefit us. Do you have resilience? You don't. I'm wondering if this guy's going to find a way to gain resilience, though. Patricide, technically, we should probably get you out as well. Yeah, the earlier we get you, the better. We do want to do that runestone pretty soon, too, though. We're going to save you for round 3 in all likelihood. And so do we use any of these orders, or are we so concerned about this Braveheart that we just leave them all unspent? I mean, you have armor, so at the very least we should probably do that. And then using either of these disgraced brawlers will, or at least the first one, would get destroyed. Second one, if we do you first, you'd get up to enough where I think you just barely survive. So, take your pick. Maybe we just let them do the killing for us. Technically the... Oh no, they still empower everyone even if they're still in our hand or our deck. We'll let them call the shots here a little bit. So we may not want to focus too much on destroying those guys. Yes. So this is actually interesting because if we... I mean, they have a huge lead here, in large part because these guys are ginormous. But if we are just accepting the fact that we probably will not try to win in round... Oh, wait, no, it's only 1 round match. I forgot it's not a 3-round match. Okay. Right. I knew that. Okay. Well, in that case... Alright, that does perhaps change things a little bit. No, we do need to get aggressive in round 1 in that case. We do need to win round 1 because it's only round... Or technically, this is round 3. So, alright. We will probably still do this, but it does change things a bit. You will get stronger, technically, to increase your base power, but yeah, what prompted that thought was, I was gonna say, you know, we could just strengthen you and not worry about that if we don't care about winning round 1, and then we just avoid boosting your hand, because that would be more concerning for later rounds. But now that we have you guys up at higher numbers, let's see, we could... Which one of you is most important to take? I mean, technically speaking, getting rid of you would be really nice. Although this would actually be a great target for Tainted Ale. So that's probably still fine. We can let you get big. We should destroy one or both of you if possible. So you're technically a little bit easier to go after. Smaller armor, smaller power. And you will get stronger going for... Yeah, if we attacked you previously and before doing all that stuff, it would have been a little bit easier. But... maybe we target you, and that means if we do this, you hit for 11, We're functionally 16, means we'll hit back for 5, which means you get dropped down to a 7, which means we do this, you get dropped to 3, you hit back, you drop down to 4. The numbers don't quite add up enough to destroy you yet. It's close, but we kind of need a little more firepower. We also should do this very promptly. Because this is the only route. So yeah, obviously this guy is going to get hit additional times, but we'll do this. We'll see what ends up getting boosted in the process. This gives us another chance to do this. And now that should change the math quite a bit, I would think. Because you hit for 6, that means you're 10, which means you're destroyed. So that's probably good enough. And then we still have something. I don't know what we're gonna do with you, but maybe later on we can find a target for you. So that should weaken these guys. That also affects you? Oh, yeah, every 2 units destroyed, doesn't matter which side. Okay. Interesting. Interesting. I think we leave this guy unused. He might get destroyed, but I think we'll accept that if it does end up happening. You have resilience. That actually doesn't matter. Oh, but give all allies immune rights. We have seen that guy before. Okay, so we basically have no choice but to target you, which does stink because I was really hoping to go after you with Tainted Ale. But, yeah. Could artifact compression, but then that gives everyone else immune and we have no way to remove it. So I'd rather not do that. But we don't have great alternatives here. Besides just brute forcing our way to hitting you. Just still not that efficient. If we prioritize, I think we're okay with you increasing your base power and avoiding these guys getting boosts. It's what we destroy you. Might still be able to destroy. No, we'll destroy you. Then we go after you with Tainted Ale, which we need to do quickly, otherwise we're going to run out of time for this, actually. That's a bit concerning. And Isbel, by the end of the match, I would hope, will have enough damage that she can destroy a lot of stuff, and that might just be enough to decimate these guys. So Isbel's really the ace up our sleeve here in many ways. But let's... wait, it's... boost all units in hand. I mean, you could look at it this way. Do this... play range row early, it's worth 3 points for them. But you play melee row early, and it's worth, you know, about 6 points or so for them. So I guess that's the simple way to look at it. Yeah, range.
Come here, let's dance.
So then, hit you. And, I mean, this still doesn't really work at all for us yet. So I am getting concerned about this Tainted Ale. We might have no choice but to use it on you.
Off to the front yet again.
You're also... yeah, gonna get a whole bunch more of these guys, or they're very likely to play more of them. Which... I mean, you don't have immunity, so we could target you. But we really want to take you out as quickly as possible here. So we do this... you drop to 4 armor. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 units. So you do that. You're going to take, what, 3 damage? That drops you to 10, which means this is still not enough. We are getting leader ability somewhat soon. I think we still... I'm going to... wondering if we can get a creative alchemist use in here, but still just don't have anything useful over there to work with. So I guess it's... oh, don't do that. It's this. It's still this. Then it's that. And then it's that. And we're getting closer to being able to take you out, which is pretty darn important that that happens promptly. Really wish you would boost this guy rather than this guy. This guy's gotten the boost many times over now. Or honestly, even destroying one of these guys so that we can get this powered up and actually use them. So we do have leader ability now, which means could Reynard, which is actually pretty interesting. Because that enables us to reactivate your order. I mean, you're also now still pretty low power. And we actually have 3 of them in our graveyard, so we could use Dogger. Could sacrifice you and then use Dogger, which does backfire a little bit. It's a little slow if our primary objective is to get rid of you. Is, I guess, my primary concern. I forgot this works with... I forgot this has Loyal on Reynard Plus. That is incredibly powerful. Okay. After 3 turns... So does that mean next... Oh, we technically buy ourselves another turn by using Artifact Compression. So that is worth noting. So that might give us just enough time for Tainted Ale to activate here. So, okay, let's... do we technically want to hit you before we use Leader ability? Possibly. I mean, this is pretty close to taking you out for what it's worth. In fact, that dramatically simplifies things, because now we can do that. Damages you, sure, we get hit, but more importantly, now we can actually target you with Tainted Ale, so that's huge. So we don't have an Alchemist in hand. That might mean we really want, or rather a Infiltrator in hand. That might mean we really want to go Tainted Ale, Infiltrator, and third card we play on this turn, second one from Leader ability, is either Reynard or it's Dogger, but we can't get both. I think it might actually be Reynard. Might actually be Reynard. Either way, I think this is definitely what we're gonna do. Oh, you also no longer have a... We removed the immunity, so we can actually target you. But you're still a boss, so we can't use this. But, okay. Oh, this also has restraint. Okay, never mind. And this probably also has restraint. Fair enough. Fair enough. We will still use this. And we'll still do this. And we'll still do... Oh, of course, the Footman's been the one receiving all the boosts. The card that we were always going to want to swap out. So we are going to want one of you. We technically could get another one if we were really inclined to go that route. But I think it's... I mean, Reynard gives us... I mean, technically we should have used this if we were going to get Reynard out, although it means another card getting destroyed. Although that's fine, because we're going to destroy you anyway. Okay, you know, it's not absolutely perfectly optimized, the order of operations here. But we'll hopefully still make do regardless. Yeah, we get these order abilities back. We get... Yeah, I think we can still benefit a lot from Reynard and Dogger. In a one-round match, as we've said times before, is not that big of a deal. Technically, we could put you over here, although if we destroy more units, then these guys will get smaller. So it's close already.
We got a job to do.
And these guys may drop a fair bit lower.
Discipline shall bring us victory.
So now, and I was not paying any attention at all to this guy, but now if we go, let's see, what is the best card for us to go after? Might be you, because just destroy anything. Actually, funnily enough, I think destroying an Infiltrator does weaken them, which is actually not a terrible idea, but I think you're simple enough to destroy here that we can just do that. And otherwise it's you, I guess. And now this. Now that means this is perfectly aligned. And that's why we put you there. You don't have a great target, but I think we can live with that. Okay, good timing, because they're about to regain immunity. Okay, so now we need to go after you, which is not the easiest thing to do. And we might, on this occasion, just choose to completely ignore that. I mean, yeah, we could still patricide, I suppose. Alchemist, what, on ourselves is still not that effective. We do not have a lot of points on our side of the board, which is a little bit scary, to tell you the truth. But you know what we could do? We could Alchemist and set you up quite a bit higher, which actually looks quite tempting. And when Alchemist, or when Infiltrator comes back to our side, we do get a nice highly boosted card. This will eventually get destroyed, which will significantly weaken these guys. And Isbel probably cleans up anything else that's remaining, and we don't need to have many points if they have 0. So I think we just do this.
Greetings.
Oh, right, but you have immunity, so it's not even an option. We would only be able to do that on our side of the board, and we don't really have any good places to make that happen. So, okay, fair enough. Regardless, it needs to be this. And is it a proactive Isbel? It's, it might kind of have to be. Otherwise, I mean, yes, we could just ignore the immunity from here on out, get you back on it. Yeah, you know what? We're just going to ignore the immunity. And we technically, I guess that means Patricide is going to be pretty much a brick. Or the damage we just did with Patricide is going to be insignificant. However, cards they play from here on out will not have immunity, so Patricide can just target those. Here's our huge Infiltrator. We're going to play something next to the Infiltrator to get that big, so we can still hit you. You're going to go down very soon, and that will weaken these guys further, at which point they shouldn't be that big of a factor, and Isbel has enough damage now that we should be feeling pretty okay about that. Who is it? Who we can target? You. So now we would like to get, really, I think Isbel next to you. You technically have immune, but I think that's fine, because it's technically Isbel that we're targeting with Alchemist. Does mean Isbel needs to survive for 1 turn, but I don't think that's going to be a big issue. Fingers crossed.
Make love.
But
not
she, as we
war.
were saying, is pretty much single-handedly our win condition here at this point. This is about to activate, or next turn it
Off to the
activates.
front yet again.
Those are getting pretty huge. There it goes. You guys get weakened now. At this point, they're small enough that it's actually not a huge deal when additional units get destroyed. But Isbel's at 91 damage. That's not enough to destroy everything, for what it's worth. So we will have to have some points on our side, but we have, you know, now pretty close to the number of points they have. And we're about to get a little bit more, because if we Alchemist here,
If anyone
we can do
asks,
this
you've
to
not
make
seen
Isbel humongous. Then Patricide, you can hit this guy, or you can hit that guy. That guy has less armor, so we should hit you. And then still not a great target for you. We could Isbel now. We should probably Isbel on her next turn, especially now that she's as big as she is. We don't really need to worry about her getting destroyed. Fingers crossed. And we're in the lead just from that turn alone. So see what they go for here. That is a good point slam, but they only just barely retake the lead. They do go after Isbel. But I think we'll be fine here, because Jade Figurine, I technically should put it in the melee row. Alright, fair enough. I was about to say Jade Figurine plus Patricide might be single-handedly enough here. It's pretty close. It is enough. But, you know, we have to press the Isbel button. Technically speaking, we could sacrifice Disgraced Warrior, and that actually is pure pointage, because they've lost the card that gains power when we destroy our own units. So we do that. We benefit, take a bigger lead, makes Isbel stronger, slightly, and then we use Isbel and we see just how much damage we can deal. So it's not quite enough to completely destroy the board, but it is pretty effective.
They weren't expecting us. Seems they believed their own blarney.
Yep. They might have expected us, but they didn't expect us to be as powerful, as capable as we were.
The Nilfgaardians fought fiercely, led by a seasoned covert agent.
Oh?
Seeing he would soon fall into enemy hands, he put a knife to his throat
Oh,
and, in a
yikes.
quick slash, sent blood pouring over paper and still wet ink. Reynard leapt towards him, trying to stanch the red tide. But it was too late, and the spy's secrets perished with his last gargled breath.
Okay. I mean, that raises some questions. The way that's phrased raises some questions as to whether there's any way in which maybe by doing some other encounters first, you can get some additional information or something like that that might actually allow you to get some information from that guy before he kills himself. But maybe I'm reading into that too much. That may be the case. I say that because of the phrasing and also because there is that encounter in that town that we walked past not that long ago where, I don't know, maybe that would have given us some advantage in this encounter that we didn't even know would have existed.
Meve picked up a freshly printed pamphlet. The document listed her many crimes and misdeeds, the true and the manufactured alike. Above the main body of the text, an etching depicted her, well, in a very unflattering manner.
How about a taste of their own medicine?
Asked Gascon, piecing blocks of type into a scathingly foul phrase.
Me and the lads will scratch out a couplet about Epdahi, spread it around the countryside, give the folk a hearty laugh at those tossers' expense.
Sounds great. I mean, I would think that would take a little bit of time. Certainly, if not, at the very least, create the pamphlets. Distributing them is not the easiest thing to do. But, I mean, if you have the manpower to do it, I guess you can. Realistically, there'd be an opportunity cost there. That would mean we'd have fewer people in the battlefield, but alright, sure. Begin producing your own propaganda or destroy the Nilfgaardian printer's workshop. Oh, okay, I didn't realize that was the choice at hand here. I didn't realize there was a choice at hand here. So, do we succumb? Do we stoop to their level? Succumb to the temptation? And deceive our people? Well, I mean, let's be honest. Is it really... We know that the propaganda that the Nilfgaardians were distributing was, in most cases, pretty much outright false. Or mostly false. With maybe slivers of truth snuck in every now and again. For the Nilfgaardians, it doesn't require much wordsmithing, much deceptiveness to make it pretty clear just how terrible they've been. I mean, they've invaded our country. So, my point is, yes, it may be propaganda for us, just as it was for them, but in truth, their propaganda was probably worse than our propaganda would be. So, maybe that makes it a little more okay? Even if, obviously, propaganda is generally maybe not the best idea. Something, insert reference to state of current media, which is, perhaps you could argue, a whole lot of propaganda and not a lot of facts. But, or we just say enough of this nonsense and straight to the point. We don't need the assistance of the paper, the press, to give ourselves the support we need from the locals. I mean, this is the morally the right thing to do. You could make the case, by most accounts. But this is potentially something that could give us the upper hand through other means. Sure, you know what? We'll go the moral route this time.
War should be fought by the sword,
said Meve.
not by lies and slander. Remember, Gascon, we cannot stoop to their level.
The Queen
Exactly.
commanded her Lyrians to destroy the presses.
Okay, high morale, which
Reams
is
of paper
realistically
went
not a
up in
huge deal.
flames, and cracked blocks of type were trampled into the ink-stained mud.
Realistically, to metagame it, obviously we just learned that we got high morale from this. Maybe there are other long-term implications based on what decision we made here. I don't know at this point, but I would guess the other one, I don't know. might have given us more recruits, because we have more people who suddenly support the Queen and don't support Nilfgaard, and obviously we don't really need recruits, assuming we're not going to craft any units. But I mostly did it because it was the morally correct thing to do, and we've certainly, we've done that sometimes. There have been other times when we definitely have not done that, but it didn't seem critically important that we get the extra assistance of the press this time. And, you know, maybe I'm wrong, because obviously I don't know what all the implications are with one decision versus the other, but we shall see. At the very least, we certainly got here and dealt with the press in one way or another, and we did just breach the 5,000 gold threshold, with which I believe was the number that we needed for the next and perhaps final mess tent upgrade here. Yeah. So it would leave us with 261 gold and plenty of wood to spare, which, just for context, if we did ever find ourselves in need of crafting a unit, you know, what are we talking about in terms of price? I should probably hover over ones that we're actually allowed to craft. A little over 100. I feel like that one, I thought I remembered, was slightly different pricing-wise compared to others. That's pretty cheap. We can't craft this, not without additional stuffs. Like, that's 150 gold. So it could get a little more expensive. Gold-wise, we might only be able to afford one of those units. So, as tempting as it might be to say, oh, we can afford that thing now, we should probably hold off slightly longer before doing so, just so that we aren't seriously handicapped before doing, say, that battle or whatever else awaits us over in this direction. But with that being said, I think this is still a good place for us to wrap up here. We immediately tracked down that press that we were looking to find, and again, don't really know definitively what is going to come of the decision that we made here, and maybe it's not real. I didn't catch, actually, if it had the little icon in the bottom left corner there that said that this is going to have major implications later on, or if it was more just a minor, simple, straightforward, yeah, one gives you morale, one gives you something else that helps you out. In which case, you know, we probably had shrines we could access at some point that would have given us the morale, and that's not a huge deal, but, you know, it felt like as I said, the morally correct thing to do, so we can always stand by that at the very least. But, thank you all for watching, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you next time.